A single father picked up a nurse in the rain, but what she was hiding shocked him to his core. It was a night that looked like it had been pulled straight out of a sad country song. Rain pounding the windshield, wipers moving like they were fighting for their lives, and a man named Daniel driving home with exhaustion in his eyes and hope in his heart. The single father had just finished a double shift at the auto shop, his hands still smelling faintly of oil and metal. The back seat, his little girl Lily slept under a pink blanket, clutching her worn-out teddy bear. She had a fever earlier, but the doctor said she'd be fine. Still, every little cough made Daniel's chest tighten. As he turned down a dark, lonely stretch of road, his headlights caught something. A woman standing by the roadside, drenched to the bone, clutching a small bag. Her white uniform was plastered to her skin, her hair dripping into her eyes. She was clearly a nurse, probably walking home after a late shift. Without thinking twice, Daniel pulled over. "Hey! You need a ride?" he called out, rolling down the window. The woman hesitated. I don't want to be any trouble," she said softly, her voice shaky from the cold. "No trouble at all," Daniel replied. "Hop in before you catch pneumonia." She smiled faintly and climbed into the truck. The warmth of the heater hit her face, and for a moment, her eyes closed in relief. "I'm Daniel," he said, glancing at her. "That's my daughter Lily in the back." "Don't worry, she's out cold." The nurse nodded, wrapping her arms around herself. "I'm Emily. Thank you for stopping. Most people just drive past." "Guess I'm not most people," Daniel chuckled. They drove in silence for a while, the rhythmic hum of the rain filling the cab. Emily finally spoke again, her tone distant. "You're a good father. I can tell just by the way you look back at her every few minutes." Daniel smiled sadly. "Doing my best. Her mom passed away 2 years ago. Since then, it's just been us." Emily's expression changed. A flicker of pain crossed her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Loss never really leaves you." Something about the way she said it made Daniel glance at her again. There was something heavy in her voice, something that told him she carried her own storm. A few miles later, Emily suddenly asked him to stop near an old, run-down house on the edge of town. It looked almost abandoned. No lights, no car, just shadows. "You sure this is your stop?" Daniel asked, worried. "Yes," she said quickly. "Thank you for the ride." He hesitated. "You don't have to stay somewhere like this. If you need—" But before he could finish, she smiled, a tired, grateful smile, and said, "You've already done enough." Then she got out and disappeared into the rain. That night, Daniel couldn't shake the image of her. There was something haunting in her eyes, something that didn't sit right. The next morning, when Lily's fever spiked again, Daniel rushed her to the hospital. As he walked through the ER doors, his heart nearly stopped. There, standing by a patient's bed, was Emily. Same uniform, same calm face, but this time she looked different, focused, professional, almost as if last night never happened. He waited until she noticed him. When she did, her eyes widened and for a second she froze. Then she smiled awkwardly. "Small town, huh?" Daniel joked softly. Emily nodded. "Looks like it." She checked Lily's temperature and gently reassured Daniel that his daughter would be fine. But before she could walk away, he blurted out, "Emily, that place last night, it didn't look safe. Are you really staying there?" Her hands froze. Slowly she looked up and her voice trembled as she said, "No, Daniel, I'm not staying anywhere." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. "That house used to be my home. Before the fire. My parents died there last year. I go back sometimes, I don't know why. Maybe I can't let go. I work nights so I don't have to face being alone." Daniel's chest tightened. He hadn't expected that. He thought he was helping someone in need, but she was the one quietly carrying her own grief. Without thinking, he reached out and touched her hand. "No one should have to face the dark alone," he said softly. Tears welled in her eyes, but she smiled. "You're kind, Daniel. Your daughter's lucky." Over the next few days, Emily visited Lily often, bringing her little gifts, talking with Daniel in the hospital cafeteria, and slowly, something started to change. The empty spaces in both their hearts began to feel less lonely. A week later, Lily was discharged. As they walked out of the hospital, Emily came running after them. "Wait," she called, holding a small lunchbox. Homemade soup. Good for the immune system. Daniel laughed. You didn't have to. I wanted to, she said, cutting him off gently. You helped me remember that kindness still exists. They stood there in the morning sunlight. The rain long gone, but its memory still fresh. The night two broken souls crossed paths and found something they didn't know they were missing. Hope. Months later, Emily became a regular part of their lives. Dinners, movie nights, laughter filling the house again. Lily called her Nurse Emmy, and Daniel started smiling more than he had in years. One evening, as the three of them watched the sunset from the porch, Daniel turned to her and said quietly, You know, I thought I was just giving someone a ride that night. Emily smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. And I thought I was just escaping the rain, she whispered. But maybe we were both being led somewhere we were meant to be. Because sometimes, the people we rescue are the ones who end up saving us. Weeks passed, and the rhythm of life slowly began to change for Daniel and Lily. For the first time in years, their home didn't feel so quiet. Every few days, Emily would stop by after her shifts with a warm meal or some fresh soup for Lily. She said it was just checking up on a patient, but Daniel could see the truth written all over her face. She cared. Not just about Lily, but about both of them. One evening, while rain tapped gently on the window again, Emily showed up with 2 paper bags. I brought dinner, she said cheerfully. Chicken pot pie and brownies. Nurse-approved comfort food. Lily's face lit up. Yay, Emmy's here, she squealed, running to hug her. Daniel smiled, shaking his head. You're spoiling her, Emily shrugged. Maybe she deserves it. Maybe you both do.